Hello everyone, Michael Irwin here, and today we're going to talk about how we can get the audio from the church's sound system directly into our computer so that it looks like a USB microphone. And from there, then it is pretty easy to connect to Zoom or OBS with YouTube Live or whatever streaming software you might be using. In order to do this, there are a couple things we need to either locate or to acquire. The first thing we need to locate is the output jack that is already in your church building. Most of the time these are labeled as tape recorder, and most of the time they're going to be 3.5mm jacks. So look around and try to find it. In our building, it was located up on the stand under what was referred to as the clerk's desk. This is an older building, but and it was actually in a shelf kind of behind a cabinet door. So look around. I have seen in some buildings that it's actually under the sacrament table, but it should still be somewhere up on the stand. Once you've actually found the jack, then you'll need to acquire some cabling. The jack on the right here is what will plug into our output. The one on the left will plug into the device that we'll show next here, and it's a 1/4-inch jack. Now, so the important thing is, as you acquire cable, make sure it's a TRS cable. The output feed is what's called a balanced feed, and I'm not going to get into balance versus unbalanced and what it all means. I'll put a link in the description if you want to learn more about it. But it will be important for us to have TRS cables so that we can run the feed a good ways without getting a lot of extra sound distortion along the way. So once we've got this cabling, we're going to plug it into a device that's called the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. And what this does is it can terminate that balanced line feed, remove the distortion, but this connects via USB to our computer and will just look as a USB microphone on the computer. So now that we've got our devices, all we have to do is turn on the sound system, and personally I turn on the satellite feed just so that you've got some audio always flowing through the system, and then it's time to start plugging things in. So I'm going to plug in my 3.5mm jack into the output. And then on the other end, we're going to connect the Scarlett 2i2. First, I connect it up to my computer. So I'm going to plug in the USB-C to USB-A. And once I plug this in, you'll see some lights turn on as the 2i2 receives its power. And then I grab the other end of that cable, the 1/4-inch jack, and I'm going to plug it into one of the inputs. It really doesn't matter which one you use. And as I plug it in, you'll see that the gain knob, its ring around it starts lighting up, and that means that audio signal is now flowing through this. As you are playing with the gain levels, you should see it mostly green with some yellow. That's fine, but you should rarely see it jumping into red, because once you start getting to that level, you're starting to get more into distortion, and then your stream won't have as good of an audio feed there. So theoretically now, we've got audio output coming through the output through the 2i2, it's connected via USB to the computer, and now we can go onto the computer and actually test it out. I'm on a Mac here, so I'm just going to use QuickTime and do an audio recording and select the Scarlett 2i2 microphone, and I immediately start to see input coming through it. I can hit record and record just a few seconds worth of audio, stop it, and then we'll play it back, and we should hear it.
Whether you welcome the experience or not, trust in the Lord.
And so this case was a conference talk, and trusting the Lord is always a good thing to do. And so at this point, we've proven that we've got access to basically the raw audio from the church's sound system, and it sounds really, really good. I typically do a lot of my testing while still as close to the jack as possible, just so I'm not having to move cabling around and everything else. But that's not where I'm going to do my stream from, and I'll talk about in other videos where all that's coming from. But so what we've done is we've actually set up a table in the back of the room. That's our streaming setup. There's an extra mixer box on the right here, and we'll talk about that in another video. That's used to put audio into the system. But so I've got the Scarlett 2i2 and basically move everything to the back. And what we did is we acquired a 75-foot cable. It's a 3.5mm male to female, and then we can just run across the side of the room, and as it crosses over the entryway, we just picked up a trip cover. So one, it protects the cable, but then also two, people aren't going to trip over it. And then from there, we can set up in the back of the room. And at that point, we've got really, really good audio sound that we can use to send on our stream. And we've heard from most of our members that it sounds really, really good, and we're very happy with it. And that concludes this video. So if you've got more questions or feedback, feel free to put in comments or email me, however you want to reach out, and I will be happy to answer them. Thanks.